Have you ever wondered, how is the man who was America's loudest and most controversial voice on TV for years living his life today? Bill O'Reilly, the name itself brings to mind a sharp, sarcastic voice that was loved by millions and also irritated just as many. But today, at the age of 75, how is his life behind the camera? Is he still as sharp? Who is his partner? And what happens to his crores of assets? Does he still have luxurious bungalows, luxury cars, and the glamour of the media? Or has he left everything and chosen a quiet life? But wait, the story is not just this. There are some twists hidden in Bill O'Reilly's lifestyle which you may have never thought of. What were those decisions that changed his life? His children, did they also follow in his footsteps, or chose a completely different path? And where does his net worth, which was once said to be more than the media toppers, stand now? In this video, we will not just show you the numbers, we will take you behind the scenes where O'Reilly's real life is. So stay till the end of the video, because the secrets that will be revealed at the end will probably shake your mind. Let's start this interesting story of the unseen world of Bill O'Reilly. There were moments in Bill O'Reilly's life that didn't just test him, they shook him to the core. And what made it more intense? He didn't hide those moments. He sat in front of the camera, looked straight into the lens, and spoke with raw honesty. Something rare in the media world. One of the biggest emotional hits in his life came during his divorce. His long-running marriage ended publicly, and the custody battle that followed made headlines. O'Reilly, known for his control and confidence on screen, was suddenly being talked about not for his views, but for his personal pain. He didn't pretend everything was perfect. In interviews and off-air conversations, he admitted that the whole episode left him shaken. He once said, "When your family is at stake, nothing else matters." Another moment that hit him hard was being fired from Fox News in 2017. After dominating primetime television for over a decade, he was suddenly out, just like that. The allegations, the lawsuits, the media storm, it all came fast and loud. And when he finally broke his silence on his podcast, there was no anger in his voice, just a man trying to make sense of a storm. He called it a brutal lesson in modern media justice. For someone who built his empire on questioning others, suddenly being the one under fire was a wake-up call. Even years later, Bill opened up about the loneliness that came with fame. In one of his more personal moments, he said, "Success doesn't shield you from pain. It just puts you in a bigger house with fewer people to talk to." That line stuck with many. It showed a side of O'Reilly people weren't used to: vulnerable, human, and hurting. These moments didn't break him, but they changed him. And in a world full of polished lies, maybe that's why people still listen when Bill talks. Because behind the opinions and the headlines, there's a man who's lived through storms. Bill O'Reilly's story didn't start in the glitz and glam of television. It started in a working-class neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York. Born on September 10, 1949, Bill was just an average kid from a blue-collar Irish Catholic family. His father worked in accounting, and his mom stayed home to raise him and his younger sister. There wasn't anything particularly flashy about his upbringing, but what stood out even back then was his sharp mind and bold personality. He had opinions, and he wasn't shy about sharing them, even as a kid. Growing up in Levittown, Long Island, after the family moved out of Brooklyn, Bill attended Chaminade High School, a private Catholic school known for discipline and academic rigor. It was there he started to shape his worldview. He wasn't your typical class clown or troublemaker, but He wasn't a rule follower either. He played sports, football and baseball, and he had that tough guy, no-nonsense vibe, even as a teenager. After high school, he went on to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. That's where the journalism bug really bit him. He majored in history, but he started writing for the school paper, and it became clear that he loved the idea of questioning authority, pushing back, and digging for truth. He also spent a year abroad at the University of London, getting exposed to global ideas and politics. That international perspective would later show up in his hard-hitting style. But Bill wasn't done learning. After college, he didn't jump straight into TV. He taught high school English and history for a few years in Miami. Yeah, imagine Bill O'Reilly as your teacher. But soon enough, the news world called him back. He went on to earn a master's degree in broadcast journalism from Boston University, and later another master's in public administration from Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. Not many TV personalities can say they've done that. His early career in journalism was anything but smooth. He started in smaller markets, reporting for local stations in places like Scranton, Dallas, and Denver. He did it all: camera work, editing, even chasing down stories in the middle of the night. Bill wasn't handed anything. He built his reputation one step at a time, the hard way. He worked for ABC and CBS, covering big stories like the Falklands War and conflicts in El Salvador. He wasn't just another anchor behind a desk. He was on the ground, taking risks. But the real turning point came in the mid-90s, when he joined Fox News and launched The O'Reilly Factor. That's when everything changed. He took the energy of a scrappy New York kid, mixed it with years of on-the-ground reporting, and delivered it straight into millions of homes every night. People either loved him or couldn't stand him, but everyone listened. Bill's journey from a regular neighborhood kid to one of America's most controversial and watched media figures wasn't luck. It was grit. He didn't climb the ladder quietly. He shook it every step of the way. And whether you agree with his politics or not, one thing's for sure: Bill O'Reilly made sure his voice was heard. Back in the mid-90s, the American media landscape was shifting fast. People were looking for bold voices, unfiltered opinions, and someone who could cut through the noise. That's exactly when the O'Reilly Factor came along. Launched in 1996 on the newly formed Fox News Channel, the show wasn't just a news program, it was a force of nature. Bill O'Reilly wasn't reading headlines, he was challenging them. And the way he did it? That's what turned him into a household name. The O'Reilly Factor quickly became Fox's flagship show. Bill brought his no-nonsense, in-your-face style to prime time, and audiences couldn't get enough. Whether you loved him or hated him, you watched him, because he said things most others wouldn't dare to say on air. His catchphrase, "We're looking out for you," gave viewers a sense that he was standing up for the common man, calling out politicians, celebrities, and anyone else he thought was full of it. He asked tough questions, interrupted guests mid-sentence, and wasn't afraid to throw down on live TV. It was confrontational, it was loud, and it worked. At its peak, the O'Reilly Factor pulled in over 4 million viewers per night, making it the #1 cable news show for over 15 years straight. That kind of dominance is rare in TV, especially in news. He shaped public opinion, influenced political discussions, and even helped define the Fox News brand. He interviewed presidents, top lawmakers, and global figures. Everyone wanted that O'Reilly moment, even if it meant getting grilled on air. But that aggressive style came with a price. Bill was constantly surrounded by controversy. His debates often turned heated. He would cut off guests, mock their viewpoints, and sometimes just talk over them entirely. Some viewers saw it as fearless journalism, others called it bullying, But either way, it made headlines. And then there were the darker controversies, the ones that didn't just shake his reputation, but ultimately ended his Fox career. Starting in the early 2000s, multiple women accused O'Reilly of sexual harassment. Fox News reportedly settled several cases privately, paying out millions of dollars. Bill denied all wrongdoing and said he was being targeted because of his fame and outspoken views. But in 2017, after growing public pressure and advertisers pulling out, Fox News fired him, ending the O'Reilly factor after a 2-decade run. Even though he left the network, the impact of the show still lingers. It set a blueprint for personality-driven news, where the anchor wasn't just reporting the story, they were the story. And O'Reilly? He didn't fade away. He started his own digital show, launched a podcast, and continued writing best-selling books. So, why was O'Reilly always in controversy? Maybe it was his style. Maybe it was the times. Or maybe it was the price of being the loudest voice in the room. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure. The O'Reilly factor wasn't just a show. It was a media empire, and at the center of it was a man who knew exactly how to get people talking. Life behind the camera. How Bill's fortunes changed. In 2017, the media world was rocked when Fox News fired its biggest star, Bill O'Reilly. For over 20 years, he had been the face of the network, dominating primetime ratings and building a loyal audience. So when the news broke that he was being let go after a series of sexual harassment allegations came to light, it wasn't just a headline, it was a full-on shockwave. People couldn't believe it. Bill O'Reilly, the guy who grilled everyone else on ethics and accountability, was now at the center of his own scandal. Fox News faced massive pressure from advertisers, especially after the New York Times reported that the company, and O'Reilly himself, had paid nearly $13 million in settlements to several women over the years. These weren't rumors anymore. These were documented payouts. And while Bill denied all the accusations and insisted he was being targeted because of his fame, the damage was done. Public trust was shaken, his image took a serious hit, and Fox had to act. When he left, it was reported that O'Reilly received a severance package worth around $25 million, a jaw-dropping number, even by TV standards. That detail sparked even more backlash. Critics said it sent the wrong message, rewarding bad behavior, while some of his fans felt betrayed, wondering if the man they trusted was hiding a double life all along. But here's the twist. Bill O'Reilly didn't disappear. Sure, he wasn't on primetime TV anymore, but he didn't go silent either. After leaving Fox, Bill shifted gears. He launched the No Spin News, a daily podcast and video show where he could speak freely, without corporate filters or FCC rules. He also doubled down on writing, continuing his best-selling Killing book series, which includes titles like Killing the SS, Killing Crazy Horse, and Killing the Mob. These books still sold millions of copies, showing that while his TV career took a hit, his brand was far from dead. In public, though, Bill definitely pulled back. No more flashy interviews, no red carpets, no network events. He started living a quieter, more private life. He still occasionally appears on conservative platforms or talks to old friends in media, but it's nothing like his Fox days. It's almost like he built his own bubble, where he controls the mic, the message, and the audience. He once said, "I don't miss the spotlight. I miss the truth getting heard." That's classic O'Reilly, still seeing himself as the guy who cuts through the noise, even if he's not on TV every night. So, what does life look like now for Bill O'Reilly? He's still working, still writing, and still talking, but on his own terms. No big studio, No producers in his ear. Just a camera, a mic, and the same sharp tone that made him famous. Personal life, partner and relationships. Bill O'Reilly's personal life has been just as headline-worthy as his career, though way more private. He was married to Maureen McPhilmy, a public relations executive, for over 15 years. They tied the knot in 1996 and seemed like a power couple, successful, polished, and media smart. But things behind the scenes weren't as smooth. In 2011, the couple went through a messy and highly publicized divorce that ended up dragging both of them into court for years, especially over the custody of their 2 kids. The divorce wasn't just about splitting assets, it came with serious accusations, including emotional and verbal abuse, which Bill denied. The custody battle was intense, and it exposed a side of Bill O'Reilly that most of his viewers had never seen. Eventually, the court awarded full custody of the children to Maureen, which was a huge blow to Bill, not just personally, but also in terms of public perception. Since then, O'Reilly has kept his romantic life mostly out of the spotlight. There have been rumors here and there, but nothing solid. As of now, he appears to be single and living a more low-key life away from dating headlines. He once said in an interview that he's focused on his work, his kids, and staying grounded, especially after everything that went down in the public eye. Speaking of kids, Bill has a daughter and a son, but unlike their dad, they've chosen to stay away from the camera. There's not much public info about what exactly they're doing now, but it's clear they're not following in his footsteps as media personalities. And honestly, that might be intentional. Growing up in the shadow of someone as polarizing and famous as Bill O'Reilly can't be easy. The pressure, the opinions, the constant comparisons, it's a lot. From what we know, both kids have carved out their own private paths, away from the media circus. Whether they'll carry on his legacy in some other way is still a mystery. But for now, it looks like the O'Reilly name in the spotlight begins and ends with Bill. Home and property, a world of crores. When it comes to Bill O'Reilly's lifestyle, one thing's for sure, he doesn't live small. Over the years, he's built up a real estate portfolio that screams success. And even though he's not flashing it on Instagram like some celebrities, the man lives very, very well. Let's start with his main residence, his massive home in Manhasset, Long Island. This isn't just a house, it's a full-blown estate. Surrounded by trees, privacy gates, and perfectly manicured lawns, this place is tucked away in one of the wealthiest suburbs in New York. The house is estimated to be worth around $4 to $5 million, and it's exactly the kind of place you'd expect a top TV host to call home. It has everything: multiple bedrooms, luxury bathrooms, a big kitchen with all the high-end finishes, a private office, and, of course, a beautiful backyard. It's quiet, secure, and ideal for someone who's stepped away from the media spotlight, but still enjoys the perks of success. But that's not the only property he owns. O'Reilly has been reported to own another home out in Montauk, which is at the very tip of Long Island and known for being a getaway spot for New York's rich and famous. It's got beach vibes, relaxed luxury, and insane property values. His Montauk place, if he still owns it, is probably worth another couple million. Easy. Add that up with his other investments and holdings, and you're looking at a total real estate value that easily crosses $10 million or more. Now let's talk cars, because, yeah, people want to know, does Bill O'Reilly roll around in flashy rides or keep it low-key? Interestingly, Bill isn't known for being super flashy with his vehicles, but that doesn't mean he's driving a beat-up sedan either. Over the years, he's been spotted in cars like the Lexus RX and a Mercedes-Benz SUV, both classy but not over the top. These are the kinds of cars that say, "I've made it," without yelling it from the rooftop. He's also been seen with a Lincoln Navigator, which makes sense. Big, roomy, classic American luxury. Nothing about Bill screams, "Look at me," but everything about him says, "I'm comfortable." That's kind of his vibe. He doesn't chase trends, and he's not trying to be cool for the cameras. He likes what he likes: quiet power, subtle wealth, and classic choices. And if you're wondering how he affords all this, well, besides his massive TV salary over the years, which peaked at $25 million per year at Fox News, Bill's also made serious money from his book sales. His Killing series has sold millions of copies, and he's got a loyal fan base that keeps buying every new release. Add in speaking gigs, digital subscriptions, and other behind-the-scenes deals, and his net worth in 2025 is estimated to be somewhere between $85 million to $100 million. So yeah, Bill O'Reilly isn't living in a Hollywood mansion or driving Ferraris down Sunset Boulevard. But make no mistake, he's living the good life. His world is polished, private, and powerful. Big homes, tasteful luxury, and enough money in the bank to never worry about anything again. That's the reality behind the headlines. Whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny Bill O'Reilly built himself a life most people only dream of. As of 2025, Bill O'Reilly's net worth is sitting somewhere between $80 million to $100 million. Yep, you read that right. Even after the controversies, the exit from Fox News, and a quieter public presence, the man is still loaded. But the big question is, where's all that money coming from? Let's break it down. First off, during his time at Fox News, O'Reilly was pulling in around $20 to $25 million a year. That alone stacked up his bank account fast. He hosted The O'Reilly Factor for 2 decades, and it was the #1 show on cable news for most of that time. So, yeah, he wasn't just successful. He was dominating. But even after he left Fox in 2017, the money didn't stop. He took that name brand power and flipped it into new ventures. His podcast and digital show, No Spin News, became a direct-to-fans platform where he didn't have to answer to network bosses. People pay subscriptions to hear Bill's take on current events, and that adds up. It's not cable money, but it's solid recurring income. Then there's his book empire. Bill O'Reilly is one of the most successful nonfiction authors in America. His Killing series, like Killing Lincoln, Killing Kennedy, Killing the Mob, has sold millions of copies worldwide. These books keep topping bestseller lists and getting reprinted. He gets a fat royalty check every year, not to mention advances from publishers who know his books will sell. And don't forget the speaking gigs. Even after the Fox fallout, O'Reilly still gets invited to events, private gatherings, and media forums. Some pay thousands just for him to speak for an hour or two. Add in smart investments, real estate, and a few behind-the-scenes deals, and you've got a guy who's not just surviving, he's thriving. So yeah, Bill O'Reilly may not be on your TV screen every night anymore, but his financial game? Still strong. He knew how to turn his media power into a money machine, and it's still running just fine. Even after all these years, Bill O'Reilly hasn't exactly mellowed out. Sure, he's no longer on Fox News every night, but when you hear him speak on his podcast or in interviews, you'll realize his views are still sharp, bold, and unfiltered. His conservative ideology remains strong, and he hasn't backed away from controversial opinions just to please people. But that said, there's a slight shift in tone. He's more measured now, a bit more thoughtful. Maybe it's age, maybe it's experience, Or maybe it's just the fact that he no longer needs to play to ratings. Whatever it is, he still has a lot to say, but he says it with just a little more control. When it comes to his critics and supporters, the divide is as wide as ever. His fans? They're loyal. They stuck with him through the Fox News exit, the scandals, and the move to independent media. They see him as a truth teller, someone who isn't afraid to say what others won't. These are the folks who still subscribe to no-spin news, buy his books religiously, and believe that mainstream media has become too soft or too biased without people like Bill calling things out. But his critics haven't gone anywhere either. They still accuse him of being arrogant, aggressive, and out of touch. Many believe his brand of confrontational journalism helped deepen the divide in American politics. And of course, the harassment allegations still cast a long shadow, especially in the eyes of younger audiences who see him as part of a media culture that needed a serious reset. Now, the big question: politics. Could Bill O'Reilly ever run for office? Over the years, that rumor has popped up again and again. He's smart, he's well-known, and he clearly has strong political opinions. But truth be told, Bill has never seriously considered running. He's mentioned it in passing, but always with a "nah, not for me" kind of tone. He's made it clear that he prefers being the guy who influences politics, not the one caught up in the bureaucracy of it. He once joked, "I'd last maybe 5 minutes in Congress before I said something that got me thrown out." And honestly, he's probably right. Bill O'Reilly thrives when he's holding the mic, not following a party line. He wants to be the watchdog, not the politician. So what can we really take away from Bill O'Reilly's life story? It's a wild ride, from working-class beginnings to media stardom, and then a public fall that could have ended his career. But it didn't. He rebuilt, found new ways to stay relevant, and turned controversy into a kind of second act. Sure, he's not as mainstream as he once was, but in a world where voices rise and fall quickly, staying in the conversation for decades is no small thing. He teaches us that success doesn't come without risk, that standing by your beliefs, even when the world turns against you, takes guts. But he also shows us the cost of pride and power, and how personal missteps can shake even the biggest careers. O'Reilly's story isn't just about politics or media. It's about resilience, ego, reinvention, and the blurry line between public and private life. Love him or hate him, Bill O'Reilly has left a mark. And in a world where opinions come cheap, his story reminds us how high the stakes really are when your voice is that loud. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Bill O'Reilly, don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We've got more fascinating stories, powerful personalities, and behind-the-scenes truths coming your way. Hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.